Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Chasing Birdies, and it's a good one.
Chasing Birdies.
Here we are. It's my boy JP. What's shaking, buddy?
Oh, nothing. Leaving for the big smoke today at Pete Dye Golf Club. Not a big deal. And then the Ryder Cup Day 1 starts right now, so we're recording this a little earlier. We're both out of town next week, but we wanted to give you what you were expecting on Thursday, and that's podcast. And Shep, how about Shep, dude? What a beauty.
That was great. He, that's awesome, man. I mean, I think it was a great show, and gonna get some golf lined up.
Yep.
With the boy.
Yep. He's coming in the spring to play a little golf. And how's your golf game, bud? How was Pronghorn?
Oh, dude, me and Peering went out to Prong. Did we win? But listen.
All right, Peering. So there we go. Another needle in a haystack type thing.
I played the worst golf that I could have played. And I'm tired of saying that, but I did. I played bad. And Peering played just equally as bad. So, we got beat 16-2 our first match, and that was pretty much all she wrote from there on out. But overall, it was a great time. Had a lot of fun. Met some good new people. Saw some of the same folks from California that I see every year. They're great guys. Debo, Casey, and everyone's loving the podcast, bud. I mean, I've gotten so many people come up to me and say, "Hey, are you the podcast guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm one of them."
Did you have to sign any golf balls for kids? Or
No, there weren't any kids. There weren't any wives around, so luckily I was safe. But I'm looking forward to getting out there today, playing with the old buddy B-Cats in his event.
The big question is, are you going to be able to get him to stay off his phone and focus?
Probably not. I think I'm going to have the music going, so I'll make sure he puts his phone away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right, bud. A little loud noise there. But how about you? Any good golf?
No.
Playing anything?
Nope. Played twice in the last 2 weeks. Went and played Laurel Valley. That was awesome. I know that you're playing there.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up soon, and the course is in fabulous shape. So, and then we're going to be at Nemacolin here in October with some special guests.
Yeah, dude, that's going to be great. And what's cool about this thing is I think we're going to be able to incorporate some video of this actual podcast recording. So that's going to be coming to you guys next month, or maybe in 2 months, whenever we drop the episode from Nemacolin on the 11th of October. But
and thank you again to Nemacolin for sticking behind us. Again, I know I keep saying this, but the golf courses are fabulous right now. Fall, there's not a better time.
Not a better time, man.
Than fall.
And speaking of Nemacolin, we had our guest who's on today's episode, Mr. Neil Walker. We had him at Nemacolin, and we played a couple rounds of golf. Maybe you folks even got onto our social media handles and saw the video of us playing this two-man, me and Pep versus him and Tango. But was that something?
I mean, buckle the helmets up, boys, huh?
I mean, drummage, huh?
I mean, I feel like, again, and it's kind of people are, you're a little active, you're not playing good golf, wearing off, but we're not playing good golf, and we happen to play good.
Yeah.
There, and that's kind of been a turn there, though. We've been playing a little bit better since then. So I feel bad that Mr. Neil Walker and Eric Tangri happened to be in the way of that,
that
buzzsaw
anomaly. Yeah. What's crazy is Neil is one of the most genuine human beings I've ever met.
Dude.
Down to earth, salt of the earth, just a great guy. And you can see, the golf swing of his. You can see how his baseball career kind of has affected the golf swing, not in a bad way, but the way the body works, the way he gets through the ball. And I'll tell you what, man, he's a good golfer.
Yeah, he doesn't only hit dingers on the field; he hits dingers on the course.
And bombs.
And he bombs it, and you can tell just a little bit of work here and there, and he can be down to a 4 handicap,
yeah,
4 or 5. I mean, he's got raw talent on the golf course, and like you said, he couldn't be any nicer of a guy. I mean, salt of the earth, the nicest guy that I've probably ever met.
Besides me.
Yeah, next to you. But yeah, let's roll it into it and go check the video because it is funny. And I think at one point I thought Eric Tangrady was gonna probably drop the gloves when I buckled the helmets for the 3rd time on him.
I know, but he buckled them up. But
so you guys buckle your helmets and go listen to this episode because it's a good one.
Yep, here we go. Neil Walker, y'all enjoy. As you all know by now, Chasing Birdies is proud to be partners with Holderness and Bourne. Check them out online at hbgolf.com. Holderness and Bourne makes fabulous pieces that help you look good on the course, even if your game is not up to par. Check out their new arrivals now for this golf season. Also, head on over to chasingbirdies.com to get some custom Chasing Birdie gear from Holderness and Bourne. We'll continue to drop these pieces through every season. That's chasingbirdies.com and Holderness and Bourne at hbgolf.com. This one. Man, you know what, Pep? We got our second in-person interview here today on Chasing Birdies. It feels good, man.
Feels really good. Sorry about that delay there.
That's all right. But we got a special guest today, Neil Walker. What's up, my man?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. What a day we got here. What a weekend we got planned. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. Dude. You want to introduce him real quick to everybody?
Nah, I'm done. I'm
special
done.
Guest?
Take it over.
All right, guys. We got Neil Walker, formerly of the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Marlins, the Mets, the Yankees.
Jeez.
Phillies, and then a short stint with the Brewers. Yep.
Okay. Hey, good career. And he's a Pittsburgh boy, drafted by his hometown team. So right out of the gate, let's talk about that. What was that like?
Yeah, early 2000s, going through the baseball circuit. Baseball's wasn't huge at this time around here. I knew I wanted to play. I was the youngest of four, two older brothers. They were playing professional baseball at the time. And just kind of grinded through the circuit I just knew I wanted to go to college and play baseball. That's it. I didn't have any aspirations of getting drafted high or anything along those lines. I love playing football. I played 3 sports in high school. People were like, what are you doing? You're better at baseball. And I'm like, no, I love playing sports. I love being athletic and all of that. Fast forward to my senior year, I play in a Team USA event. Going into my senior year, did really well. And all of a sudden, I'm going from small Division I programs to, Clemson calling, who I ended up signing a letter of intent with, and some ACC schools and some SEC schools. And then, played really well in my senior year of baseball. And all of a sudden they're like, well, you might be in the second round, third round at the most. And all of a sudden I go off in my senior year, and they're going, we're getting close to June, and they're going, hey, you got a chance to go in the first round. And then all of a sudden they're going, hey, you got a good chance of going high in the first round. And we're going, well, how high? And there's 3 or 4 teams that are picking between like 8 and 15. And the Pirates were right smack in the middle at number 11. Had a couple conversations, obviously, right in their backyard. So I took a lot of batting practice for these guys, took a lot of ground balls, did all this stuff. And draft day comes around. I'm sitting around a computer at that time. It's not like it was, it is now in all the sports, and watching my name, and there it goes at number 11. So that's kind of how everything started. And then, the grind to get to Major League Baseball was not easy or glamorous, but at the same time, it was all totally worth it. And here I am sitting here today after a 17-year professional career, 11-year Major League career, and couldn't be happier.
So real quick, the first thing that comes to my mind is you're 18 years old, you're not making money, and all of a sudden you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. What's that like? And how do you stay, because you're a very humble guy, how do you stay even-keeled, making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and your high school classmates are going freshman year trying to figure out how they're going to pay for their college bar tab?
It was challenging at times. I had the FOMO, especially when baseball season wasn't around those first couple years. I didn't know how to do laundry. I mean, my parents did everything for me. They paid all my bills. They did everything for me. So I remember signing my contract and getting ready to go to the Gulf Coast League in Bradenton. And they're like, you're a high school guy. You're going to start in the lowest rung of the minor leagues. And I had no idea what that meant. And all of a sudden, I'm getting on a plane, and it just hits me. Like right before I'm getting on the plane, I'm like, oh crap. Like, I don't know how to do anything. I know how to play baseball. That's it. And fortunately for me, I had a brother that was playing at that time in professional baseball. So he knew what the process was going to be like. And my dad had played a long time ago in the 70s. My uncle played a long time ago in the 70s. And so getting into pro ball, I had a better general idea of what I was about to get into. But that side of it, the side with dealing with friends and dealing with not being college age and not being in college and not having the same ramifications for my actions was really a hard transition. And then fast forward, it slowly got easier and got easier. And then when I got to the big leagues, being in Pittsburgh, then it was a whole new group of challenges, right? Yeah. I mean, there was times my first and second year in the big leagues that it was like 5:45 for a 7:00 game, and I'd be getting texts like, "Hey man, this is so and so. Can I get some tickets for the night's game?"
You got two tickets tonight?
Yeah, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm trying to play a big league game here. I'm trying not to get dominated in this game, and I'm dealing with this. And so that was like the next level of trying to, reel things in. But my parents were incredible with that. And my brother and I, my sister's married to a guy that's, his name's Don Kelly, and he's the bench coach for the Pittsburgh Pirates now. And he had a long career, mostly in Detroit. And so I just had a really good foundation getting into pro ball. But you're absolutely right. Like I played with so many guys that just, it was too overwhelming for them. They couldn't.
The stress.
They couldn't conceptualize the bigger picture and how to deal with chasing something and seeing the bigger picture of trying to getting there and knowing that it takes steps and steps and steps. So I was just really, really lucky.
Well, and that's the thing. It's a little bit of a slow process, but it can creep up on you, the success. And again, back to what you said with people reaching out for tickets, and I have a lot of friends in the NHL, and that's what they say is, man, I don't want to play in my hometown because that's where everyone reaches out to me that I spoke to, and they want these tickets. And it's just, people don't realize that you don't get 150 seats at a game. You get 2 seats to a game, and that's it. And they don't realize that you pay for them.
Exactly. So, and that was when I finally reeled it in, I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I have these 4 tickets, but I'm going to buy my mom and dad and my girlfriend, who's my wife at the time. I'm getting 3 tickets for every single home game. Those are tied up through those guys. I have like one or two more if we have people in or whatever. Family, that's a totally different story. But once I reeled it in like that, it was just easier to do it because I'd basically be like, okay, you want a ticket? I got 1 ticket for you tonight. Well, I need 4, It's like, okay. It doesn't quite work like that.
What's your visa, bud?
Yeah.
So what was it like when they said to you, hey, you're in for the Pirates? What was it like running out of that tunnel and your hometown in front of your friends, in front of your family? Again, you were, and this is utmost respect, you were the golden child of Pittsburgh at that time, and you're playing for your hometown team. What was it like running out of that tunnel? It
was the raw emotions, especially getting to the big leagues. I got to the big leagues in the very end of 2009, so I just got a little taste. Going into 2010, I didn't make the team, but was close. I was playing a bunch of different positions at that point. I knew that I just needed to get my foot in the door, and once I did, that was May, like late May of 2010. Then I was stuck there. They said, hey, go play second base. If you can solidify yourself, basically this is your job to lose. And so going into 2011 was my first opening day. That was when it really hit me. So I was almost already in the big leagues technically for almost a year when that first opening day rolls around. And that's when they roll out the red carpet when you're at home and you really feel it. And then that was when I really felt it was like, wow, this is something special. And this is something that I need to kind of earmark as not only something that I should feel proud about, but at the same time, I knew where the organization was. We were struggling at that time, but I knew that if we stayed along the process and we kept grinding and I was, in my role with the team was a little bit more of a vocal type leader. And I tried to embrace that as much as I could, but I felt the pulse of the city. That was the thing that I had, was I felt the pulse of the city and to a fault sometimes, to a fault, whereas there were times that I cared a little too much when I shouldn't have. You know what I mean? There was times I cared too much what the guy at Giant Eagle behind the counter was saying about the team that I took to heart, that like stressed me out. When looking back now, I was like, I shouldn't even, what does it matter what he thinks? This is, we're working hard. We're trying to reach this goal. And then fast forward to 2013, we're looking around in spring training, me, Andrew McCutcheon, Starling Martin, we're like, whoa, we got a squad here. And that's when we had those 3 straight years of like really good baseball. And I felt that, like, I felt the success of that. I felt the downfall of it, or the bad time of it, more than anybody else, both personally and professionally. And like I said, to a fault. So, but looking back on it, I'm so happy that I had it the way I did, because not many people get that. A lot of people are from California, Texas, Florida in baseball, and they're playing for the White Sox, or they're playing for somebody. And it's like, great career, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, I'm out of the organization. I'm moving on. I got to feel every single day and year of that.
You're tied in at heart with that organization, and that's the cool thing. I mean, it's funny you say it about the people at like Giant Eagle. They always say, you talk to people, they're like, man, we just lost that game. Oh yeah, you played for them, bud? What position did you play? Huh? Like, and that's the one thing about Pittsburgh that people that are not from here do not understand. Fans in Pittsburgh feel like we are a part of that team. We live, eat, and breathe hockey, baseball, football. I mean, it's truly a cool city. And again, to its fault, it's not a good thing, right? Because it's like they take it so much out in these call-in radio shows. It's like, bud, go take a nap, huh?
Yeah, take a nap.
Well, and I compare it to like as far as the baseball is concerned, I compare it to like a football mentality, right? Especially when we're talking about Pittsburgh, we've got the Steelers and the Penguins we've been very, very spoiled on those lines, right? And so when we started creeping up to that level in those 3 years, it was like, okay, how do we stay here? And unfortunately, that section that we only had those 3 years where we really, really were able to compete. But at the same time, like you felt that. And people would say like, oh, we had a bad week. And it was like, well, in baseball, we play 162 games, right? Like you can make up a bad week in late April, you know what I mean? And you still have 5 months of baseball left. So that was kind of the give and take with dealing with people, on a daily basis around the area. So
what from a playing perspective, type of hurdles did you have to overcome from playing, high school, collegiate, and then obviously up to right to the big leagues? I mean, what was from the playing perspective? Was it faster pitches? Was it harder balls being hit at you? Was it, what was the hurdle that you had to overcome?
For me, it was finding a position that I could play. I knew from a young age that I could hit. I knew I was a switch hitter growing up, especially when I got to high school. So I knew that I could handle the bat. I was catching at the time. I got drafted as a catcher, so I got into pro ball and I caught for a couple years. And it's not that I wasn't good at it. They had a need in the organization. They had a couple young guys that were in the big leagues that they thought were solidified for several more years. And they said, hey, we don't have a third baseman. We think you can play third. So I go play third for a couple years, and I'm still progressing, especially offensively. And then all of a sudden they go, hey, we had a second pick overall this past year. We took a third baseman. Hey, guess what? You're going to have to find another position. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm playing in AAA. I'm playing every position you could think of, and just thinking to myself, like, I need an opportunity somewhere. I know I can do this. I know I can make myself into a good third baseman, good second baseman, good first, whatever it may be. I just need the opportunity. So that was the biggest hurdle for me at getting into pro ball, was catching for 2 years, playing third for 2 years, playing left field and first base and second base. And then all of a sudden, boom, I get an opportunity as a second baseman. And I'm thinking to myself, I have to take advantage of this opportunity. It's huge. And I was luckily able to do that and make a career out of it.
Yeah. Wow. A lot of adversity, man. It speaks a lot about you.
I didn't realize it was like that in baseball. I thought whenever you got drafted for your position, it was your position. I didn't realize that they kind of mold you into what they need.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's not like that, but at the same time, in today's game, if you can basically, if you can play third base and second base, you can play first base. The up the middle, we call them the catchers, shortstops, and center fielders. Those are the premium position guys. Typically, if you're an elite defender at those three positions, you're not going to change. And if you can play those positions, you can literally play anywhere outside, maybe infielders or outfielders catching. So if you played the corners, you needed to hit. And so when I went to the corners, I felt a little more pressure as far as offensively, because as a catcher, if you can just catch and hit a little bit, you're going to make a long career out of it if you don't get hurt. So in today's game, if you can play defense, they're going to try to just throw you wherever they can to try to get manipulate the lineup.
So you played on 6 different teams, and I know Pittsburgh. We'll take Pittsburgh out of it. You played for 5 other teams outside of Pittsburgh. What was the coolest spot to play, where every day that you went to the field that you just felt like, holy hell, I'm a part of this organization?
It was definitely the Yankees. So when I left Pittsburgh, I played 2 years with the Mets, and that was just phenomenal. I mean, and we had such great players. They were coming off a World Series appearance when I got there. We had a good start to the season. We had a bunch of guys get hurt, including myself at the end of the year.
You got to play with Tebow there a little bit.
I did. I was in spring training with Tebow. That was fun. That was a lot of and he was the biggest celebrity. You're talking about Jacob deGrom, David Wright, like some of these guys. And like when we would go on bus rides in spring training, because obviously he didn't make the big team, you would have like a huddle around Tim Tebow, and they would just be, hey, tell me stories. Tell me stories about this guy. Tell me the stories about that guy. And you'd be like, wow, dude, this guy has stories for days.
Wow.
But his path in baseball, the guy tried so incredibly hard. He grinded so hard in the weight room. It was just a matter of like, in baseball, it's like hockey. Like you have to be 4, 5, 6 years old and just completely play this thing. And golf's the same way. Like if you don't play from a very young age, it's so hard to get to the peak. Right. Basketball, football, you can, in my opinion, you can kind of mold yourself into a legit player. You know what I mean? If you're 6'5", 270 pounds, and all of a sudden they go, hey, you got a chance to be an offensive tackle in the NFL. You go, okay, I'll make myself 6'5", 335 pounds and grind it in the weight room. Maybe I get a chance. It's not, in my opinion, it's just so hard to do that in baseball. You have to have that basis, and you have to have that continuity for such a long period of time to kind of get your opportunity.
So the Yankees was then your favorite kind of spot after the Mets?
That was my dad's favorite baseball team growing up. And
did you play T-ball?
I'm a T-ball coach right now, huh? I run the dugout for a bunch of 4-year-olds.
Like chasing cats.
Yeah,
herding cats.
Parker. I say my son's name 100 times. I'll tell you a funny story about my son, though. You never know what my son's going to do. And first base, he hits off the tee, runs to first base, gives this kid double pistols. I said to the head coach, I said, hey, did you just see that? He said, yeah. So he runs to third. I had my phone out. And I don't know if this kid was saying something to my son, but my son looks at him, shakes his head, and gives him the double pistols and runs home. But yeah, my father, when Mazeroski hit that home run to beat the Yankees, my father said that he cried the whole way home from school. But the Yankees, that's as good as it gets. I mean,
like walking into the locker room for the first time after spring training, and you see, Babe Ruth's number, Roger Maris, Yogi Berra. You're like, whoa, I am just a speck of dust as far as baseball, the baseball world is concerned. And you can feel it there. Like in the one thing that I'm happy that I had a foundation for before I went there was just, number one, dealing with the media, but also dealing with the fans, because that's one of the biggest fan bases and media markets in the entire world.
For any sport.
Any sport. I mean, there may be some of the soccer teams in Europe that are just so gigantic, but like in North American sports, like play for the New York Yankees.
That's awesome.
And I was a somewhat of a nobody on that team, and you'd go into Manhattan and people would be like, hey, you'd be like, how do you even know me? Like, I haven't done anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I learned there that if you went into work every single day and people were going to ask you questions, and then sometimes they'd be asking you prying questions to get you to say like, hey, why have you guys played so bad this week? You know what I mean? Well,
they're trying to get you to bury someone.
They're trying to get you day in and day out. They're going to try to get you to bury someone. I found that like if you were somewhat forward with them, but at the same time, like just keep them a little bit at arm's length, they would give you the benefit of the doubt. And they would say when you had a bad game, if they did ask you a question about something and you said, I just sucked tonight. Like I'll be better tomorrow. They'd leave you alone. If you made it a single excuse, you were going to get peppered until you played really, really well to kind of get back to even.
Wow. You hear that? That's like life, listeners. I mean, sometimes you get kicked down. You just got to just be like, hey, it's on me. I'll be better tomorrow.
Exactly.
Amen.
And that's a prime lesson. And sometimes it's a hard lesson for young guys to learn just across the board in the sports world or the business or whatever that may be. It's like, how can I do my job better today? And if I don't do well, can I look in the mirror and say, okay, where did I go wrong today? And how can I get better?
It's chasing birdies.
Well, and let's kind of talk about that a little bit. So, I mean, we just chased birdies today. Not often, but they were out there today for us. For the Chasing Birdie boys, today was a good day on the course.
It was a good day for you guys.
You played baseball your whole career. Where did the golf come into play? I mean, I know that baseball, everybody thinks baseball players can play golf every single day, but in reality, it's the pitchers that are mostly playing the golf. Where did you get your love for golf, and has it grown over retirement, I guess?
Yeah, yes, it's grown a lot over retirement. I think growing up, I had like 3 different groups of friends growing up where I did in just north of Pittsburgh and Gibsonia. And it was like a basketball group, a baseball group, and a football group. Mm-hmm. And I had a couple guys from each group that liked to play golf. So you'd have time in the summertime between, baseball. And there was a couple places we played north of the city, Pittsburgh North, and at the time what's now Pittsburgh National, which was Deer Run. One of my favorite tracks when I was a kid. So I'm still super nostalgic about that place every time I get an opportunity to go because it's right in my backyard, 10 minutes down the road. But we would go in the mornings at 6:30 a.m., 7 a.m. Our parents would drop us off and be like, hey, we'll pick your bag up at 10 a.m. And, 7 of 8 of us would run up there. We had no idea what we were doing, but we had the whole course to ourselves. So it kind of started there. And then when I got more into baseball, you'd have people say like, it's going to mess up your baseball swing, this and that. So you got away from it for a little bit. When I got back into pro ball, I started to play a little bit more. And now, in spring training, I'd play, 8 to 15 times in Florida somewhere. And then during the season, you'd play a little bit. If you were lucky enough to go to, San Diego and have an off day, or Milwaukee and have an off day and pop up to Whistling Straits or wherever you may be. I grew a love for it, but you're right. Like in the baseball world, the pitchers were the guys that were playing all the time. So I was never able to really work on my game. So right now, it's still guerrilla golf, but it's trending in a decent direction.
I mean, he's got a good game.
He's got a really good game.
Second time I've played with you, and you hit it way better today than you did when we were in Colorado. He ripped it on 18. I mean, that was beautiful.
Ripped it.
So
it was a big hole too.
You got a good game there. And the thing about golf is you'll never perfect it, so you just keep.
Yeah, it's like baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the crazy thing is that he played at the highest level in baseball, and then to bring him to the golf course, you can tell there's a little bit of frustration there.
Yeah.
Because you take him on a baseball field, he can control it a little bit better. He can, if he's not hitting it well, he might change something. But if he's not hitting it well in the golf course, it's kind of like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? It's like, so that's the crazy thing about golf for the world's best athletes from other sports.
Right. And I think that's why it's rare to see, when guys retire, when you see Tony Romo running around, or you see, Tim Hudson, I think, is a really good golfer. John Smoltz, some of these guys that are ex-baseball players. It's rare. The one guy I played with was Adam LaRoche, that was an offensive player that was an incredible golfer. And I couldn't believe it when I saw him play during the season and whatnot, because you'd be like, okay, I've seen some golfers, some pitchers go out there and go low and play scratch, but like they don't have to worry about their baseball swing. Like, how are you doing this? Like, how are you? It's a totally different thing, and you have to get so far away from an actual baseball swing just with the visuals and the feet and the hands and all that stuff. Like, you have to get a little less handsy on the golf course than you do on a baseball swing. So,
so the baseball swing's more handsy?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you're releasing it more, right?
Because when you're kind of coming down the line, you're releasing, and I guess it's not much different because you're still kind of stopping, but like you're able to manipulate the bat within a swing wherever the pitch is at, because obviously the ball's moving.
Right.
That's the one thing that I've noticed that's, like you said, the most frustrating, because the ball's just sitting there. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, I got a couple hits off of this guy throwing 95 miles an hour yesterday, but the ball was moving like crazy. Like, why? And I manipulated the hands to kind of pull them in to get a hit this way, and reached out to do that. Why can I not do this on the golf course and hit it where I'm trying to hit it? It just doesn't translate.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's so frustrating about golf is, like number 5 today at Nemacolin on Mystic Rock. I have 160 yards in. I just hit it 285 down there on a par 5. And I only get it down in 4 shots. So I just went 165 yards in 4 shots, but I went 285. It's just, it's like, what the shit?
And we're coming a lot.
And Bash goes 240.
Oh, and I fanned a little 6-iron. Hey, bud, the par 5 was playing like 400 yards, all right? And then on the 8th hole, I hit a pretty good 4-iron there, bud, from 210.
Yeah, it was good. Hybrid.
We're coming. We're recording this episode today in the Golf Academy here at Nemacolin.
It's gorgeous.
Is it not the coolest spot?
I mean, this is great up here. Every time we come up here, it's like they add something. But this learning center is so impressive.
It's first class. Everything about Nemacolin. Again, they think it. They're going to do it.
Yep.
And their golf courses are in incredible shape right now. So, and you come up here often with your family and friends. I mean, you used to come up here with your teammates.
Yep. We used to come up the All-Star break. You'd get Monday through Thursday off. And I would usually bring, especially guys that were into golf, but it was perfect. I mean, you're an hour and a half away from Pittsburgh and you come up here and you can fish, you can golf, you can use a spa, you can use 2 different pools, you can do whatever you want. And every time I brought guys up here that had never been up here, they're like, "Are you kidding me? This exists?"
Like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we try to get up here a couple times a year, and whether it's time of year for golf or time of year for, indoor stuff, it doesn't matter. It's great.
Yeah. Any inquiries, send them over to Kelly O'Donnell on Nemacolin.
Yep. Kelly's director of golf, and he's on Chasing Birdies. So what's life like now after baseball? After you obviously are going to still want to pursue something. I know you might be in the broadcasting now, the booth a little bit, trying that out. I mean, how's that going?
Yeah. So at this point, I've done about 3 TV broadcasts for AT&T Network for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I really enjoyed it. That was in July or in August. I'm sorry. And I'm going to do 6 more, the last 6 games of the season for the Pirates, 3 radio and 3 TV. So, for me, I want to stay involved in the game to some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
I have, like I told you guys, I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. So basically for the last 17 years of my life, I've been gone essentially from February until October. So, I want to be able to tell my wife, hey, you want to go do something for the week? You want to, she's going to Napa in a couple of days. It's like, don't even worry about it. Just go with your friends. I'm trying to make up for lost time per se. But I feel like I owe that to her, but at the same time, like I want to still stay involved in the baseball world because that's kind of what I know and what I feel like I'm good at. So I think this broadcasting thing can be something that's fun, but at the same time is really enjoyable. I've never really wanted to be heavily involved in coaching, to the younger generation, the youth and that stuff. I really have a passion for that, especially the high school kids in the area that want to go play at the next level, because to get the kids that can grasp, hey, I want this, I want to go get it. You can feel that in guys, and you can also feel it in the 8 to 12-year-olds. But for me, I can really feel it from that 15 to 18-year-old area. So I've gotten involved with a couple people around the northern area, and we have a facility in Russellton, which is basically Deer Lakes, and it's going to be a 4 baseball field and 4 soccer field facility, all turfed. And in the baseball world right now, the TrackMans we're seeing here in the Learning Center, we're basically going to have these, and it's going to be for the scouting world, for the anybody that's coming to see these kids play. So my hope is that regionally, and like I said, the baseball world has gotten better as far as getting exposure for the kids around here, but it hasn't gotten to that level. Kids and families are still going down to Georgia. They're still going down to Texas. They're still going to California to get seen. And we're hoping that we can give them the opportunity in this region, whether it's, 5 hours over to Philadelphia or over to Columbus, Ohio, or up into to Buffalo or south down into West Virginia, North Carolina, that we can give them the ability to get seen by not just D1 teams, D3, community, whatever that may be. We want to give them the opportunity to see that. So we're going to have all of these camera systems and Yacker techs, which some people may be familiar with, on these fields, so that team comes in, all their kids are going to get all their numbers. Kid pitches, they're going to get all their numbers put into a system, and everybody's going to be able to see it and sign online and see it. So that's kind of a passion of mine too.
That's the thing too right now, if you really think about it. For a kid, us growing up, we played 3-4 different sports. Now every sport for a kid is 12 months. There is not, I mean, if you're good at hockey, you're off ice training in the summers, or you're going north to play. Golf's 12 months. Baseballs can be 12. It's just, that's the one thing I wish the kids would kind of play a little bit of everything, because the parents right now, I'm watching it with my son at 4. These parents, I mean, hey, bud.
Oh, my God. Get a life, huh?
I mean, bud, go flip another pizza. Huh? Like, you've never played a sport in your life.
Right.
And you're screaming at your 4-year-old son to catch a ground ball.
Right. Yeah. And that's
I want to see you catch the ground ball, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me?
No, I'm talking to
Oh, yeah.
parent.
Yeah, Lou. Lou Smith, catch it.
Lou, I'm gonna hit a ground ball at you, and you try to stop it. Yeah. You're not gonna be able to. You can't even bend over, and they're yelling at their 4-year-old.
It's a mess, man. The whole world's crazy.
You're right, though. I mean, the in the sports world now, it's like if you're playing more than one sport, you know, sometimes it's being seen as like you're not committed to this. You know, to the one sport that you may be good at. And that's tough to see, because I always felt growing up, and you guys probably did too, that like playing multiple sports kept me more athletic. Like it kept my arm from really falling off just from exercising a certain way and playing a certain way, and being a short burst game, or playing basketball and being, you know, conditioned a longer way. So you fight that, but at the same time, it's in where we're sitting here now, it's not going to change anytime soon. So.
Right.
It's not. It's actually, it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just let the kids play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Let them enjoy. I mean, the odds of a Neil Walker coming out of my son's baseball game are slim to none, boys.
Well,
I hit a nerve here.
So we get on a golf course, you know, what does it do to you? You know, for me, it's like almost sometimes relaxing. It's fun. It's enjoyable, miserable time to time. But there is an element of escape for me that I kind of turn to. And do you have anything that you kind of turn to whenever you get on a course, whether it's from a mentality standpoint or just the perfectionist in you to want to try to achieve something?
That's the most fun thing for me about golf, is that, you know, you can spend all the time you want on the range, but at the same time, you know, you get down there, you hit your first tee shot of the day, and you have a downhill side hill lie, and you're going, wait a second, the practice range was not like this. How am I going to do this? And you learn to visualize, and that was one thing in baseball that you get better at as time goes, because eventually, if you're lucky enough to play long enough, your physicality kind of slows down, and your mental game kind of rises. So that's why in the baseball world, when you get to 26 to 30, it's almost like they really even up. Whereas when you're 26 and below, your physicality is up here, but your mental game is here. So it kind of gets to a point where all of a sudden it matches up, and that's when you hear people saying they're in their prime. Yeah.
That was the hardest thing for me through college golf, is like you make a double bogey, you start losing your mind, and now I make a double bogey, and it's like, all right, well, let's go make a couple more birdies. Yeah. Like, you know, what you gonna sit here and feel bad about? And that's, again, I'm 35 years old opposed to an 18-year-old myself. I mean, it is. It's a big thing, and you look at these PGA Tour players even, and you have to ask yourself, did somebody like Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas, I mean, yeah, he's starting to play better, but Rory hasn't done anything. Did they peak too early?
Sure.
Was the spotlight too big for them then, or it's too? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's.
I know what you mean, though.
Right? Like, they're winning majors at 24 and 25 like it's nothing, and now all of a sudden you don't hear from Rory.
Yeah. And those are in my mind, I call them the one percenters, right? In the sports world, not just baseball. Like, you have these one percenters that were the best players on their little league team, the best players on their high school team, got drafted real high in the first round, were with the Yankees or the huge market teams, and they have all this on them, and they get to the big leagues, and you hope that their development hasn't been messed up just by the media or people telling them you have to do this to be good at your game. You have to do this. And if you can find a way, I always thought that the biggest turning point in my career from a baseball standpoint was the day that I decided, and this was actually in 2009. This is a decent story. Andrew McCutcheon and I went through the minor leagues basically the whole way together. And 2009 in AAA, I'm having a pretty good year. He's having a really good year. He gets called up in June, and I blew out my knee. Didn't blow it out, but I hurt my knee pretty bad. 6-week recovery, and hurt my finger. And I went down to rehab down in Florida, like the worst thing ever. You're going into the minor league complex every day, and you're just like, this is horrible, right? And I remember having like almost a come to Jesus with myself, like, you know what? I've gotten to this point on athletic ability And I need to take this next step as a baseball player with the mentality. So when I get back, I'm going to do me. Like,
Yep.
I know what I'm good at. I'm going to prepare every day to make myself the best. And not that I'm not going to listen to my hitting coaches or all these people. Sure, I'm going to listen to them, but if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down on my terms. And so when I got to that mindset, it really helped me go to the next level, and things kind of went off. I could live with the horseshit days. I could live with the good days, but I found a way to kind of stay right here in the middle, as opposed to really getting high with the good days and down with the lows, because over the course of we'll call it an 8-month baseball season, you just get so mentally drained. And if you let it consume you, it will just completely eat you. And I know that's true in other sports too, but
it's golf. I mean, think about people. How many friends we have make a double bogey in the first hole, and they're like, "This round's over."
Yeah, they're on their phone. I know.
So, and that's just you gotta.
Your partner from today is laughing over there. we got Eric Tangrady in the house here too. Neil Walker and Eric Tangrady pegged it up today with us at Mystic Rock versus me and Pep. And
we were ham and egging it.
We're not going to
started off so good and ended so bad.
A lot less egg in the back nine. Right?
We're not going to talk about it.
But so your newfound passion is golf. What's your favorite place to peg it up at, other than where you remember at? Like, where that you go on a trip, or that you absolutely cannot wait?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite places, let me think. I mean, Laurel, I'm trying to think just kind of outside of this regional area and some of the places I played in Florida.
Laurel's as good as it gets, man.
Laurel is just absolutely phenomenal. And more than anything, it's like a getaway, right? It's very similar to here. It's just so you feel it when you step on the ground. You don't feel like the stress just kind of leaves you.
It's hollowed ground.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Playing Innisbrook down in Tampa was always fun, especially around the times that we would in spring training. The PGA Tour would always kind of come through there, and the Honda Classic. We would always go down to the Honda Classic, so we'd always try to play down there in West Palm. So I was lucky enough to play a decent amount of courses down there. One of my favorite places of all time, though, is a place just east of Bradenton called the Concession, and it's weaved kind of, I'm not sure if it's 70 or 64 off of 75 in Bradenton, but one of my good friends, Charlie Morton, who's with the Braves, lives. I believe he still lives on the course. We would go out there all the time, and it was very similar to kind of these places, Laurel and Nemacolin, where it was just completely tucked away, but it wasn't that far away. It was only 15 minutes off of 75, but every hole, and I think they play the SEC championship there now, the men's SEC championship, and it's just a phenomenal course.
Oh man, that Florida golf, that Bermuda, tough.
Wind and water.
Tough on the old chip shots, huh?
Yeah, especially with the blade opened up. Do you still keep?
Listen, no, real quick, I get it, dude. Like, I skull wedges.
I'm not even.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
You hit a great wedge shot today. The wedge shot that you really messed up was the other day at Swickley Heights with JT and Vince on the par. But it's fine. We rebounded. Do you still talk to any of your boys from that team when the Pirates went? I mean, you
had some Charlie. Studs on that,
yeah. I still keep in touch with Andrew McCutcheon, Pedro Alvarez. Garrett Cole was lucky enough to go visit Garrett up in New York over Father's Day. That was a fun. His son had just turned 1. And he didn't throw that weekend, but I was able on Father's Day. And this was actually cool. On Father's Day, he lives up in the Connecticut area, and I lived up there when I played for the Yankees. And I always wanted to take my daughter on the train to a game because they had one train that would go like an hour before the game. And so on Father's Day, we were all going to go to the Yankee game, and we did. And my wife is like, I don't really want to take the train. It's too hot. I said, I'm taking my daughter. She was a couple months away from turning 5. So we went into Greenwich and caught the train and did that whole thing. And it was so much fun.
Wow.
I mean, on my shoulders going into the Yankee game, I turned
awesome.
into a fan.
Right. Like it was, you're being a dad.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's the thing. Well, first off, was he able to afford the first birthday party? Huh? But I mean, how much money that guy
he's
made?
struggling. He's struggling.
Holy hell. But that's the thing too, probably for you, that you look back, probably the only thing that you really look back on your career that you wish is that the kids could see daddy play. Right. And you look up in the stands and they have number 18 daddy jerseys on, type thing.
Right.
So not to get sentimental, but that is, now that you know, when you're a parent, that's kind of the small things in life that you wish that you could have captured, type
and
thing.
that was the hardest thing about how my career ended. And not that I wasn't super nostalgic about it, but just the COVID year last year, I had a good idea going into last year that it might be my last year just in general. But then I got to thinking, my daughter, I don't think she remembers me playing for the Mets or the Yankees. I mean, this might be a good, if this is my last year, I hope that she's able to kind of conceptualize it a little bit. And nobody does a lot of games. Nobody, and so we'll go to games. Like we went to the Pirate game yesterday, and she'll go down, and she's more interested in the cotton candy and the ice cream. And I'm like, I used to play on this field a couple years ago, and she's just like, I don't give a crap.
That's crazy.
Buy me some, Dad.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Oh shit, man! I haven't been to a Pirate game in a long time.
Well, you can get a seat, bud. There's a lot of them there.
Yeah, beautiful stadium. Beautiful stadium.
Give it time, boys. Give it time.
We hope. I mean, we want to see people do well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with the whole golf thing, you obviously have traveled and played a lot of golf. What would you say is the one place that, hey, Neil, where you want to go today, bud? Anywhere we'll take a plane. We'll do whatever you want. Where is the one place that you want to put that peg in the ground and go?
I wasn't lucky enough to. When I was with the Marlins, we had an off day in Milwaukee, and we were supposed to play up at Whistling Straits. And no joke, I got hurt. I hurt my knee the day before, the day that the plane left for Milwaukee. We were supposed to play the next day, and I was so. Even the amount of times I played for the Pirates, and we obviously played up there 3 times a year, for whatever reason, it was too cold, or we didn't have a good
just
off
mix
day.
Up.
It just didn't match up, and we planned this like months in advance. The guys on the team that were into golf. That was the one place that I am so upset that I didn't get to play, and I'm hoping for another shot at it. But yeah, I mean, we played up in San Francisco at a place that was phenomenal too. Not Olympia.
Harding Park?
No, not Harding Park. It might come back to me, but that was one of the better tracks that I've played in my time traveling with baseball and whatnot. But if I had to pick one, it would still be Whistling Straits. But unfortunately, I haven't played it, so I can't be like, I'm going to go back to this place.
Right.
It's very high up on the bucket list.
Yeah, I mean, well, the good thing is now you can just go there, right? You don't have to worry about the baseball schedule.
Exactly. Yeah.
They say that whole Whistling Straits thing's pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to do. We did Sand Valley a couple years ago
in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I heard that's incredible.
That was so good.
Yeah.
And they're owned by Bandon and
yep,
it's the one in Canada.
I don't know.
They own the one in Canada too. Cabot Cliffs Links.
Yeah.
Whatever. Thank God we have a
some of the cheap seats
fan base here today. Can't go anywhere without these.
How was your partners today? How would you rate your partners today, Neil?
We've played, Tango and I have played, in member events, and we literally play at the same number. And he's more consistent than me. I mean, for the good, my good holes, my bad holes are really bad. My good holes are pretty good, and he's usually somewhere in the middle. So we do a good job of kind of bringing each other down, but at the same time, it's sometimes difficult for us to be really good on the same hole.
Yeah. Well,
that's what makes a good team or a bad team.
Yeah.
He played really well the front 9 here.
Yeah.
I mean,
he did. Played
really well.
Fantastic.
Yep.
He was even par going into 9, I believe. Close to.
Yeah, he was.
And made a triple or something. But that 9 will get you. 9 here at Mystic Rock, they have it as number 7 on the scorecard. I mean, that hole is the hardest hole on the course.
That's serious.
What do you think, Pep?
Yeah, bud. It's the hardest hole in the course. It's number 7.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you want me to tell you? That we give shots here, there, everywhere. So, but yeah, I mean, again, I was pretty impressed. And that's the thing. You watch other athletes because they're so good at what they do, and then they come to the golf course. That's how you can see. And I was pretty impressed with your game.
Oh, I appreciate that. I don't necessarily feel the same way, but I appreciate that.
Well,
sentiment.
the putting is the number one. the feel for people.
Oh, you got
you
good
guys
rotation. It's like you're hitting.
I mean, you get somebody like Matt Barkowski out there, bud. He's got the hands of steel.
Oh, bud. Yeah, he was. Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen Bart play, actually.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
a gem.
He is a gem.
Play or drink? Which one?
When he gets that mixture right, though.
Yeah, dude, he's on fire. So let's get into our tap-in segment here on Chasing Birdies, where Jonathan will ask you a couple 4 or 5 questions, and we'll let him take it over from here.
All right. Say a couple things. You tell us what first comes to mind. Roberto Clemente.
I mean, that's nostalgia at its finest for me. And the story is well documented, but is that too many words?
Nope. Keep going.
No.
Obviously, I literally owe my life to this guy, and not in direct terms, but saved my dad's life. I mean, my dad was in Puerto Rico when he passed away, when his plane went down, and he was almost on. My dad was almost on that flight. He was at the airport helping him. Yeah, you guys didn't know this story.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
So both playing winter ball, both for different teams in Puerto Rico. My dad was single at the time, going into the New Year's Eve, and they had a bunch of players that came to the airport to help them load supplies on a plane to go to Nicaragua for the earthquake they had. My dad is out there, and there's 5 or 6 guys that said, "Hey, we're going to go with you. We're going to jump on the plane. We're going to sit on boxes. We'll go, and we're just going to come drop off the supplies and come back," because it wasn't that long of a flight. And at the very last minute, Clemente was like, "Nope, just going to be me and the pilot. There's too much stuff. I don't want you guys sitting on boxes. It's New Year's. Go back into San Juan and party." And I'll never forget my dad would tell me stories, especially in the baseball world. And he was, he was older when he had me. He was almost in his 40s, I believe. So like when I would hear stories as an 8, 9, 10-year-old, I would just roll my eyes and be like, "Oh yeah, whatever, Dad. You played in the 70s. I don't care."
Right.
But I remember being like 15 or 16 and him telling that story again to like a group of people, and I was there, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa!"
That's I never realized that.
Yep. And so he said he went back, and obviously in the 70s, the only thing they had was like radio, frequencies in some of these bigger cities. And he went back and they were partying. He went back to his apartment. People were losing their minds and said, "Hey, did you hear?" He said, "Clemente's plane just went down." And my dad said, "I just left the airport. There's no way that's wrong." And no. And there were people walking the beaches for weeks at a time, just trying to see if anything washed up. And they've never found his body. And so
they've never found his body.
Never found his body. We found some wings in the Roberto Clemente Museum in downtown Pittsburgh. Is a phenomenal trip if you're interested at all in that.
I got chills here, boys.
Yeah, I mean, I get chills every time I tell the story, especially to people that have kind of never heard it. But I literally owe my life.
You like?
And there was some weird stuff that happened in my career in Pittsburgh, and one that really blew me away. So every September, and it's coming up, Clemente Day will come up where everybody wears, doesn't technically wear 21, but 21's, you can wear 21 now if you want to, but it's completely league-wide, retired. I'll never forget with the Pirates, obviously, the boys, Clemente's boys and his wife Vera would come into Pittsburgh, and we would always go to an inner city school and give back to some capacity, whether it was food or school supplies or something. And the one year, and I believe it was 2014, I had 20 home runs going on Clemente Day. We're playing in Pittsburgh. The 21-foot wall in right field is sitting there. Every day that I would go out there before the national anthem, I would always try to tip my cap or give something to the big 21 that sits there in the top left corner of the wall.
Right.
And I hit a ball, and I think my third at bat for my 21st home run.
Right over
when I say just over the 21-foot
Wow,
Clemente wall,
dude.
and I'm not kidding you, that's never happened. Rounding the bases, playing as long as I did. I mean, that might have been home run number 60, 70, 80. I don't know. But I'm rounding the bases, and I'm like close to tears.
My God.
Just goosebumps completely going over my body. And I remember finishing, and guys in the dugout too were like, hold on, like Clemente Day, your 21st home run right over the 21-foot Clemente wall. You're like,
God.
and I'm like, okay, somebody's with me. Somebody is totally with me.
Insane.
That's that greater power, dude. That is
Right.
crazy.
Well, that was a pretty good first question.
Sorry, it was a little long.
No, that's
dude,
awesome. I had no clue. All right. Favorite on-course drink?
Oh, my. Got to be something with vodka. I mean, the high noons are always a good fallback. If I'm able to big 24-ounce Yeti it, I'll go with a friend taught me how to make a 1-iron, right? And that's ginger ale and orange vodka with a little bit of orange liqueur.
Whoa.
1-iron. He calls it a 1-iron because when shit starts to go sideways off the off the tee box, you just start hammering the 1-irons and break out.
Lowest round in what course?
I shot a 73 at the field club this year.
Oh yeah.
It was one of these days where I went out and everything was working. Played with a couple buddies, just could not miss. Couldn't miss.
That's awesome.
And it was I finished the round and I was like, I don't know whether to be really excited about this or like try to figure out what the hell happened because that is not.
That's awesome.
So, but that was, I mean, going home that day, the feeling of not, basically I hit 77, 78 every once in a while, but getting close to par, I was like, whoa, okay. All right, we got something here.
I bet that brought you back for more.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. You got a 1-shot lead. We're at the U.S. Open. You're on the 72nd hole. What's the club that you need to have in your hand to close this out?
I need a 9-iron. I need a 9-iron. I need it to be right around 150, 155.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good question. Perfect. Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm still like over that Roberto Clemente thing.
Yeah, that's a little deep there.
That was deep.
Good.
Is that too deep?
No, it was awesome.
Perfect.
I probably wouldn't
chilling.
If I didn't know that, if I would have known that, I probably would not have thrown it out there.
No, man. That's great.
Well, I think, for any listeners that hadn't heard that story, I mean, that's a big part of my life. So like, to hear that every time I hear that story, it just like, blows you away at how, and like saying it's deep, but like how fragile everything is and how you need to enjoy your life and you need to.
I have one more question because we really didn't get into this, but best teammate of all time.
Oh my gosh.
Tough one.
That is a tough one. You know who was the most impactful for not just me, but a lot of my teammates was a guy named AJ Burnett that a lot of people know, because when AJ came to Pittsburgh, he had obviously, I mean, he'd been the pinnacle of baseball personally and professionally. I mean, World Series, all these accolades, and he came and he was on the back end of his career, and he was so good at dealing with, he was tough. Don't get me wrong. Like, he was really tough, especially on the pitchers, and you didn't want to be around. We called him on his start day, we called him JA, because he was so ass backwards he was the complete opposite person that you would meet from his other 4 days that he wasn't starting. Mm-hmm. This dude would come in and you wouldn't look this guy in the eye, but you recognize it, like, this is how it's supposed to be done. Like, you may not be able to do this day in and day out and have this mentality, but this dude is 39 years old on his arms killing him. You can tell he's hurting.
He still wants it though.
He wants it. And he set the right example for all of us. And we all took something from his preparation and from his mentality. And he didn't always do it in the way that, you would necessarily kind of teach it, but you would always know that he was getting his point across in some capacity. And sometimes it was tough love, and sometimes it was, one time I'll never forget. He accidentally broke my iPad on a flight because he wanted everybody to hang out, and I was dog ass exhausted and had my headphones on and watching a movie on my iPad, and all of a sudden I see somebody come up and grab my iPad and just go, whoa, no. And I was like, I can't say anything to him. I'm sitting here. I'm like, no, he didn't just do that, did he? And he goes, you're going to hang out with your teammates. And I was like, you're right. And the next day I got a brand new iPad in my locker. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't going to do stuff like that, but it was at the same time, it was a learning, it was still a learning experience. Yeah. And not that wouldn't do that still, okay, I need my space to some degree, but it was like, we're doing this, we're going to do this together. Whether you feel good, don't feel good. Sorry, but we're going to do things together.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So, well, guys, that was an awesome episode with Neil Walker. Again, we have a huge match tomorrow.
Huge.
Eric Tangradi.
He's already stretching.
I mean, this guy, he's on the TrackMan right now, boys.
Yeah.
Oh, I think just hit the window.
He said he needs 13 hours of sleep tonight.
Eric, you got to open the window before you hit the. But these two versus us two. It'll be on a YouTube channel somewhere in the near coming weeks. Stay tuned, Neil. We can't thank you enough, buddy. It was a blast. We could do this for hours. Gosh, you look pretty good, bud.
Oh, dude, new H&B golf on right now. Got a little, I think I got a little BO right now too, but it was a hot one out there, bud. We had to drink water on top.
It was really
beers,
hot. Yeah. So.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, man.
It was awesome, man.
Thank you so much for your time, man, and golfing here for a couple of days. Got your wife, so we look forward to having a good evening with you, and see you tomorrow on the course, brother.
Appreciate it.
All right, boys. Dude, that Clemente story has given me goosebumps over and over.
Yeah. And I had no idea of the Roberto Clemente story and how much he's meant to the Walker family. Because whenever I said that, I was just saying it because the Pirates and how big of a icon he is for the Pirates, not knowing that in depth of a story. And like you said, when we were sitting there, I wish that we had that recorded because our mouths were on the ground. Number one, because I felt like I was out of place for even asking that. But
yeah, seriously, and my mouth only has to go, about 3 inches before it hits the ground, and I was like, wow.
So, and
insane.
again, that's another one why you never know, and cherish life, bud. Huh? That's why we do this. That's why we have fun. That's why we hang out. That's why dude. Nice vest, bud.
You like that vest, the Holderness and Bourne vest, with the little Chase and Birdie logo on the left.
Looks good, bud.
Chest. Yeah. So, looking forward now. We got some good shit coming up here in October. And our next guest, we're taking it back to the ice.
Yeah, with training camp starting right now and going till about October 5th or 6th, whatever it is. We're going to take it to the old 2-9er, a Pittsburgh Penguin staple, I would say. He's the radio call play-by-play for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Does a lot of charity work in the city of Pittsburgh. He's won 2 Stanley Cups as a player with the Penguins, 3 as a commentator. So 5-time Stanley Cup champion, Phil Bourque. So
awesome.
It's a fun one. He's got some stories, and I feel like we could have got some stories out of him, more stories. So it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, no, it was. It's awesome. So we can't wait to bring you that.
So, Bud, how'd you play at the Big Smoke? Did you play good?
In the Big Smoke?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hit it great. I did. But no, seriously, listen, I mean, you do this to me all the time, and I lose my train of thought. I was going to tell you that with the Phil Bourque episode coming out in 2 weeks, we also realized that today is almost the last day for your little promo for the merch gig.
Yes.
So in the forthcoming days here, buddy, you're going to have to announce the winner for us to play a little round of golf with up at Nemacolin.
Yeah, we're going to, again, guys, chaseandbirdies.co. Go buy something. You're automatically entered into a drawing to play golf at Nemacolin in October with Ryan and myself. And keep supporting us. chaseandbirdies.co. Buy some merch. Instagram at chaseand_birdies. And let's keep it rolling, guys, because we're getting some momentum here. And the guests that we have coming to you are big.
Yeah,
and there's some of them that are in the works that are big. So keep tuning in. Keep telling your friends. Thank you to Holderness and Bourne, Bettinardi Golf, Winston Collection,
And 44
Concierge in Nemacolin.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you all, listeners, for supporting us, listening to us. If there's anything you don't like or want to see, please be vocal. We love a little bit of constructive criticism. That's how we get better. But thank you all again for listening to another episode of Chase and Birdies. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to Evo and his team at Simpler Media and Rachel London for her social media professionalism. Y'all have
See
a
it
good day
high
now.
and let it fly.
Yeah, rip it.